So I ended up just picking up a whole box of untested graphics cards for 100 Aussie dollars. And I thought to myself, well, I'm probably going to get hosed here, but even if one of these 16 graphics cards works, at least one of the decent graphics cards, then I should be okay. I should come out on top. Now, these look like they've been neglected. Some of these, even like this one here, this GTX 770, this has a smashed in backplate. But what we're going to do right now is I've made up a whole list of the graphics cards so you guys can see what we picked up inside this box, where I ended up getting a two GTX 1060s, for example, and we got a heap of GTX 770s, GTX 760, GTX 950. We also got some AMD cards like a 7870 and a 7950. So there's definitely a lot of cream in here, as well as a GTX 1050 Ti. So I'm hoping that if I clean these down, just give them a basic, easy clean down, make sure there's no debris or anything like that causing any problems. And in the case of this graphics card right here, take these back plates off. So we're going to go through these cards one by one now and see if we got hosed on this deal, or see if we can pull off some magic and get some of these cards back to original working condition. But one thing I haven't mentioned in the past on the channel is I do have a new trick up my sleeve that I've never spoken about before. So we'll detail that in today's video to see if that trick ends up coming to fruition and if that can bring back any of these GPUs. So let's get busy. If you want to get rid of this annoying activate Windows message, then today's video sponsor SCD Keys has you covered for as little as $12 US. After you enter that coupon code BFTYC, you can cop yourself a legit single end user license today. Links in the description below. So after cleaning the cards up, we immediately have, unfortunately, some bad news. That is the GT510 actually has a burnt out MOSFET right inside just here. And I'll show you guys on camera. But I'm not even going to try boot this up because, and I don't recommend it. If you guys come into parts where they clearly have something faulty on board, you can clearly see the physical damage in the case like this GPU here. If you try to boot up parts like these, you can actually cause even more damage to the part itself, and even worse, things like fires can actually come out of damaged parts like these. So definitely don't want to mess around with that. So with that aside, we are now down with 15 out of 16 GPUs left, and I'm actually going to get onto this GTX 770 right here, where this was the dirtiest of the bunch and it had that damaged backplate. Now we're taking that backplate off just because the metal could have been contacting the back of the PCB, which could have been shorting out this GTX 770 right here. So I'm hoping that perhaps this works after doing this and also cleaning it up, where there was just so much dirt on the graphics card itself. But then we'll get onto the other cards as well. So it's finally time to see if we can get something out of this untested pack. And of course, unlock potentially some of the most ultimate value.
Oh, I got my mind made up, 'cause my heart still beats to the sound of us. Oh, I got my mind made up, 'cause my heart still beats to the sound.
I guess we got a signal, but kind of not the signal we were hoping for with this GTX 770. But So we've just finished testing out all these GPUs. Now, unfortunately, 2 of the GPUs, that's the first one here, just with the blown chip on it, and this GTX 770 here with the backplate, these unfortunately, they're not going to work, and I don't think I'm going to get them to work, as they've just got inherently faulty parts. So you need to actually get the soldering iron out, replace all that stuff, which I do have a massive pile of GPUs that I'm stocking up, so that's going to join the pile. But we've got some really good news, and that is we got 10 GPUs out of this whole pile working. So most of the potatoes, except the one potato at the start, are all working. So we got 4 potatoes working. And then unfortunately, these were not GTX 1060s. I don't know why I thought they were 1060s. I guess I've seen a 1060 with this cooler on it, and they were 2 GTX 660s, but they both worked. And then we had a GTX 760, which ended up working, a GTX 650 Ti that ended up working, and then also a 950 that ended up working. And then lastly, a 7870, which you can install the NIMS drivers for, and they show up as an R9 370. So that's some really good news. 10 GPUs working, so I've easily, and I mean easily, got my money's worth already. So that's like over the moon news. But then we got these 4 cards here, which we're just giving out problems booting up. So we couldn't get them to boot up on our test system. I tried a different motherboard on the test system, but there is one more trick that I alluded to in the intro to get these graphics cards to boot up. So we're going to go through that now, and we're going to explain the methodology, and hopefully one of these cards will work with this method. And it's great if you want to extend the life of a GPU. So in this case, I think these GPUs have been heavily used, but hopefully we can still get a little bit more life out of them before, of course, putting them in the last chance GPU pile. So this next little trick I found actually came from when I was playing around with a GTX 780 that I had here, and I noticed that it wouldn't boot on this computer after I'd finished the video. And then I was like, okay, well, that's kind of weird, because it booted up on another system that I put it into, and this was consistent behavior too. So I was sitting back in my chair kind of going, okay, well, there has to be some kind of difference here. And so then I experimented on 2 other rigs after that, and I found the answer as to what the difference was when this GTX 780 booted up absolutely fine on one of the rigs day in, day out. And it had to do with the power supply, in that the power supply that was booting up this GTX 780 when I was testing it out, it had a higher 12 volt line voltage reading when I was running the voltmeter on it. In fact, it was going close to 13. And so what we've got here now is we've found a power supply around our studio that gives out over 13 volt on the 12 volt line, as opposed to these other power supplies. This one, for instance, will give out 12.5. I just quickly tested another one, 12.5. My main Corsair HX1000, that gives out about 12.5 on the reading. That's on the test bench. So this one here, I'm going to see now, I'm going to couple this power supply right here that's giving out over 13 volt, and I'm going to couple that with those 4 GPUs that were, although they were booting, they just weren't giving out a signal. So what we're going to do now is test out these 4 graphics cards and see if we can taste any success. So we got some good and bad news, and the good news was that 2 of those 4 cards managed to give us a signal where we were able to get to Windows. In the case of the GTX 770, I got to Windows to the point where I could try and flash another VBIOS on there, and this one was a really lower clocked VBIOS. But unfortunately, the BIOS didn't take properly. I mean, it was a HP BIOS with much lower clocks, and the card was bricked after that. So that was unfortunate, but at least we tried. And then we tried the 7950, and we gave that a reflash of a VaporX BIOS that we found on Tech Power Up. And that was the same thing, except that managed to boot into Windows still, but the drivers just wouldn't take. As soon as you install the drivers, it gets the black screen. And pretty much that just, in my opinion, these cards, they just got faulty pieces of actual hardware on them. I mean, sometimes you can get a graphics card to work again if it's just memory degradation or the CPU core clock is just too high, given that it's been running for a few years. And you can kind of get away with clocking down a BIOS and then getting a bit more life out of it. But these cards, these 6 cards right here, unfortunately, they just weren't coming back to life, even though I would have loved to have got a victory with one of them. But that's just a little method. What we saw there is just a little hint, a little method for you guys. You can try it out at home if you come across a power supply that's got a bit of a higher voltage on the 12 volt line. It may be able to give you a chance to do some extra stuff with that graphics card so you can get it to work again. However, what we've got now on the right hand side is 10 working graphics cards, and all we have to do now is give them a thorough clean, change the thermal paste, and they'll pretty much work like brand new. And so that's really good news. I'm actually blown away by how many working GPUs we got out of this pile, as opposed to, I honestly came into this expecting probably just like 2 or 3 of them to work, but this is one of the best case scenarios. And of course we got, 2 660s, a 760, a 950, as well as a 7870. So those are the good cards that we got out of that. And of course we can put them in entry-level rigs and then make some budget PCs happen for people who just want to play things like Valorant and CSGO and Fortnite. So that's going to be really good for sort of alleviating a bit of a GPU supply shortage that I've got going on here for flipping PCs. Though in terms of these ones right here, I didn't bother giving them a thorough clean because you're just going to be wasting more time. I know if I thorough clean these GPUs right here, they're like most likely going to give out no signal still, and it's still going to be problematic, and I'm just going to be wasting all that extra time when I don't need to. And so basically the quick clean down that we did here today, I feel like it's the most efficient process. All this was done in a day's work, so really happy with the outcome. And definitely going forward, I'm going to be picking up more untested stuff. And in terms of picking out these, I could see that they were kind of like they had some physical damage on them, which means like I think if you're picking up an untested lot of GPUs and they all look like they're in really good condition, I would kind of maybe before you pick them up, just be like, hey, can we test out 1 or 2 of them? Because usually what I've found is, say for instance, this GTX 1050 Ti here, it looks like it's in really good condition. It actually hasn't looked like it's seen a whole lot of use. But when you get an untested card like this in, it's most likely gone through something like a power surge or something's just blowing out apart. And we just got absolutely no life out of this, no signal out of this. So I was kind of more impressed when I saw a little bit of scuffed and physical damage to the cards and no real damage to resistors and things like that. So I kind of went into it with a gut feeling knowing that I was going to come out all right, and we came out better than all right. Anyhow, guys, from here on in, I've also got a dumpster dive video coming up for you guys where we managed to get in for a quick dumpster dive and pick out some stuff where this stuff is all free. And the last time we did this, we came out with some very good success. So I'm looking forward to giving you guys that video. We didn't get a whole lot of time there, but I did pick out some juicy parts. So stay tuned for that. If you want to see that video, make sure you hit that sub button, ring that bell to get the video as soon as it drops. Also, if you don't mind, just checking out that little like button, giving it a tap for us, and let us know in the comments what you think of today's pickup for 100 Aussie dollars. Would you take up the same offer or would you not? Love reading those thoughts and opinions as always. And in terms of what we're doing here with these GPUs, if you guys want to start seeing more stuff, like more enthusiast sort of real niche, how I price things up, what I'm doing behind the scenes. I was thinking of just reintroducing my memberships because YouTube said to me, they said, look, if you it's really good for your channel if you introduce 3 tiers of membership. And so that's what I've done now. I've structured 3 different tiers of membership where if you guys really want to see, like I can do some vlogs behind the scenes of what I price things up at, how I sell PCs, just more real enthusiast, core enthusiast stuff of what I'm doing and how I'm sort of going through this weird PC market, then I can make that happen, and I'm just going to charge the lowest price possible. And then the other 2 tiers, if you guys want to support the channel a little bit more, there's always that option there. And I'm not going to lie, 2021 has just been a really rough year in terms of not just YouTube and doing that, but it's also been a rough year in terms of personal stuff as well. But you just keep on going. If you guys followed us for a while, you know I always roll with the punches. But I'll put some links in the description below for you guys. And with that aside, I will catch you in another tech video very soon. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Peace out for now. Bye.